Hello and welcome to episode 28. Actually, episode 27. So I had a couple of incidents where I haven't been able to record the video. First, I didn't press the record button, and second, I was running low on storage. So maybe even that was the same case with the first game. If you would like to see it, especially the bot Phoenix game, I can probably record it on a normal chessboard with some commentary, because that game was very instructive. So let me know in the comments if you would be interested in seeing that game. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to record the game as soon as it starts. Lately we are having a bit of a struggle to find an opponent for 15-10 at this time. But we have the game and we are playing black pieces, and we are going to play the c5. I've played one game of Khan as well after we have lost the previous game, and actually White would like to play an interesting opening, which is a Smith-Morra. And in this case we will not be able to play the same way we usually do. So what I can try and do is to transfer this into a slightly different opening. And I'm not 100% sure how to approach this position. But for the sake of keeping this as a Sicilian as we want to, we will give White the tempo, just to prove that there is a method to our madness, and we will just play the same way, just to keep the team cooking as we have been so far. So we're gonna play the exact same way and see if we can still get something out of this position. After all, White will most likely have to spend some tempo playing with this pawn. Putting a pawn on e5 does not seem to inspire too much confidence for me, as we will be eventually able to challenge that pawn on e5, so we will first develop. I'm expecting White to eventually castle. Which they did. Now we are going to put a pressure on the pawn on e5. Rook e1 is a reasonable move here. And I don't know, I don't feel all that adventurous in this game, as White is playing an opening which can give them quite an advantage if we don't play strong ourselves. So one of the advantages that we have after we challenge the pawn on e5, that we might end up with knight g5 is an attacking move, attacks the h7 pawn, and quite frankly I don't understand this move too much, because if white is going to be winning the h7 pawn, that could potentially mean that we are having an open h file against the white pieces, but secondly we will have a chance to have two central pawns in the middle. So I think there is a method to the madness for some players, but here I think we shall be able to protect our king. I'm not sure taking on e5 is the best move, however it appears as a possible move, and now if bishop f4 is being played, it appears to me as once we take the bishop on d3, it's basically like the most dangerous bishop to us. Once we get rid of their bishop, we should be basically fine. So knight takes d3 looks like an opportunity for us. The only disadvantage we have at the moment is lack of development again, due to our greediness. So white can potentially put lots of pressure on the d6 square and win the pawn back. I believe white is considering as well something very attacking. White is from Philippines, their name is Dhon18, Dhon18, and they have 1402 points. And it's a question what they are considering. I'm expecting white to be a very attacking type of player. That tells me that they are calculating some potential sacrifices in our position. But will that work? Queen h5 could be a potential move that they can play. Queen h5 would run simply into knight takes f4. That should be winning the game on the spot. So I cannot even fathom why would they not be recapturing the knight on d3. That's simply their best move from what I see here. But I would like to say, if they come up with something creative, I will definitely welcome it. Knight takes f7 falls to queen takes f7, where we are double attacking bishop on f4. After bishop d6, maybe we can play knight takes b2. So I don't see any of their moves working at the moment apart from queen takes d3. So queen should take on d3. So knight f7, queen f7, queen h5, knight takes f4, and there's no queen f7 for queen f7. So our opponent has now similar amount of time on their clock. And as I said, I'm expecting very aggressive play from them. And they should be able to put enough pressure against the d6 pawn. So queen d3 happens. We are up a pawn, and I do recognize that we are under lots of pressure, but we should be able to wiggle out of that pressure. And I think simple move like knight f6 will be the first step. So we are 2 moves away from castling, and if we can hold the pawn on d6, then everything will be fine. And we have also a pair of bishops at the moment, so that could add to our fineness. And thanks to the fact that we are up a pawn, we can also offer trade of queens. So if that's something that white would allow, we would be more than happy to, whilst we are pawn up. I think white might be one of those stronger players, but I don't understand why they spend so much time on queen takes d3. Perhaps they spend lots of time thinking of some brilliancies, but I don't see any of them working just yet. I cannot find a move that white will be thinking of. One of the moves would be probably knight a3 with the idea of knight to c4, keeping us by the pawn on d6. Perhaps we are allowed to play after knight to a3. We might be able to play move like pawn to b5. And not allowing knight c4, but then rook d1 will be already a strong move for black. Sorry I keep on changing the colors all the time. For our opponent, let's say our opponent rather than black. Now queen on c7 isn't such a great piece. Since bishop on f4 really is putting up some pressure on us. A move like bishop e7 is strong in itself, as we can then play knight d5 and no more sacrifices are working on d5. So bishop e7, knight a3, bishop e7, knight c4, knight d5 should again work. Because with knight c4 then you cannot challenge the knight on d5. And you will most likely have to do something about the bishop, and I don't see any tactics working there. White is spending lots of time on their moves. Lots of time. Which is great and recommended. So we need one more move to play bishop e7 and then we can play already knight d5. We also need to be kicking the knight from g5. That's another move that we can consider. Play a move like h6. Dhon18 from Philippines, a critical thinker. I hope they are thinking and not just having a bad internet. It doesn't look like they have any decisive strike just yet. But I appreciate that they spend lots of time because it looks like they might have. And they are playing in this style of, once you play Smith-Morra, you are a very attacking player. I think I have a bad news for us, because it looks like the game will auto-abort in 1 minute and 10 seconds. Which means we are probably going to win this game on time. And it's a shame, but it is what it is. And this is what I don't like about chess.com, that sometimes you would like to spend more time thinking, but then the chess.com is treating you as if you were disconnected. It didn't happen to me yet on a chess app, but it happened to me when I was playing the, say, longer games, and it told me that I went idle and that my game will be aborted, and I didn't understand it. Why would you have a classical control and then after 5 moves you will be told that you can no longer spend time thinking? So in 3 seconds the game should auto-abort. And we have won because the game was abandoned. But I have to say, this game looks very dangerous for us. White could potentially try something like knight a3, for which I prefer bishop e7 already. Need to be careful not to move this knight and then castle. So if white plays knight to c4, perhaps we can already play knight d5. But this bishop e7 is keyed, so white cannot sacrifice the queen easily here. There is a possibility for white to play a move like bishop takes d6, and if we play bishop d6, we play knight d6, queen takes d6, white can play c4 here. And for us, we cannot obviously castle just yet. So white's position, because we didn't castle, looks actually quite well. Even though we are temporarily up a piece, they have already won back the pawn. And now it might be quite difficult for us to wiggle out of this position without any concessions. So we would probably need to play a move like h6. But you cannot sacrifice another piece. So we are up a piece, so maybe move like queen to f4 might be interesting here. And my entire idea doesn't seem to work here, as the next we will be able to move this knight. And if c takes d, queen takes g, then we can just castle. And there isn't much white can do if they play like this. We just block and we are up a piece. So yes, I just found a very interesting idea for white. I managed to beat myself from the white's perspective. Even that can happen when you're analyzing your games. So yes, I appreciate this game was very short. And I will feature it anyway, as this includes a Smith-Morra Gambit, and we will give another point to Count Sicilian, as Sicilian is so scary the opponents will just give up and sign off. So I hope you enjoyed this game, even though it was short and unfinished, but I'll see you in the next one. Take care.